1 on air.
You're watching San Francisco in the Morning. This is Ian Taylor, and I'm speaking with Kevin Cohn, Assistant Deputy Airport Director, Capital Finance. That's an awfully long title. Kevin, tell us, what is it that you do at San Francisco Airport?
Good morning, Ian. Thank you for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it. Ian, I manage the airport's what they call debt portfolio. It's the way airports finance capital projects by borrowing money from Wall Street investors to build infrastructure.
Well, we certainly want to thank you for coming on, Kevin, because it's not often that we get to talk to finance people or people who openly tell us that they manage debt. And I guess we've got to deal with the really tough question first, and that is, because we've heard this now from several sources in our newsroom, that San Francisco Airport is drowning in a sea of debt.
Well,
is that true?
Ian, let me first clear up some misperceptions I think that people have in the industry about airports and debt. San Francisco Airport actually has about $4.3 billion in debt, and it's amongst the second or third largest debt portfolio for a major airport in the United States.
That was billions?
That is billions. But let me finish on clearing up some misperceptions. I believe, and I think the airport has demonstrated, that airports can effectively operate financially sound even with a large debt portfolio. And the way that's done is that airports need to be thinking about the non-airline revenues that an airport can generate, so that it's not just only dependent on the revenues it's bringing in from the airlines.
Well, when you go through your annual report paints a pretty rosy picture of your financial system. Your annual report would lead the local taxpayers to think that the airport is very profitable, and that perhaps some of that profit could be going to reduce some of our property taxes. How did this debt situation get created?
Well, actually, again, let me clear up another misperception, is that airports really don't receive any support from property taxes or any type of tax that are solely supported on the users that use the airport.
But as a city-owned facility, it seems to me that if the city was suddenly able to make money on the swimming pools, that we would all benefit by having our taxes cut.
Well, let me actually give you an interesting statistic about San Francisco Airport. We're a little bit unusual than other airports. We actually contribute about $25 million to the city of San Francisco's general fund every year. And what happens is that we contribute 15% of all of the parking revenues, concession revenues, all goes to the city of San Francisco. Essentially, if you think about that, it's really a dividend to the taxpayers or the citizens of San Francisco.
But to whom do you owe $4.3 billion?
We actually owe $4.3 billion to mutual funds, individual investors, who have all agreed to lend the money to the airport over a 30-year term. And what that allows us to do is it allows the airport to provide facilities and new facilities for the traveling public, to provide safe and secure security checkpoints for the Transportation Security Administration, and lastly, it provides options for airlines to fly in and out of San Francisco.
But what is the cost of servicing this debt?
Well, you know, the cost of servicing the debt is imputed into a calculation that what the airlines call in the industry cost per enplaned passenger. It's basically the cost that an airline has to pay per passenger to operate at our airport. San Francisco Airport is amongst the highest in the country for that fee, but at the same time, the airlines have found that they can charge more on their ticket to San Francisco because it is a destination city. And so they found that even though they're paying a little bit higher to operate in San Francisco, they're able to yield a better profit on their ticket in San Francisco as well.
But sir, you know, and I know, that it's not the airlines that are paying this cost. It's the passengers that are paying this cost. And so passengers are being penalized for your freewheeling spending habits. How did this situation get out of control?
Well, you know, the passengers are actually willing to pay a little bit more to fly in and out of our facilities. We provided Class A.
Are you serious, sir?
Yes, I am. We provide a facility that is unmatched in the Bay Area compared to our competing airports. We fly 98% of the international traffic out of San Francisco. We provide some of amongst the best restaurants, concessions, and parking options for the traveling public.
You overbuilt that airport, didn't you?
Certainly not.
You overspent that airport.
Certainly not. We
have a history of previous airport managers who went through money like it was somebody else's.
Again, another misconception. I think that what the airport did is we prudently planned for future growth at San Francisco Airport for both the up economy and the down economy, and the aviation industry is going to continue to grow, and we have facilities sufficient to meet that growth into the future.
But sir, we have the state of California is in the worst financial situation in its history. Homeowners in California are facing some of the worst financial situation in the nation. The governor himself seems unable to deal with the problems. And here we have one, in the scheme of things, rather tiny facility in the state of California whose debt is probably now greater than General Motors.
Well, that may be true for the state of California, but let me give you another real interesting statistic. San Francisco Airport is only one of 2 airports in the country that is actually experiencing double-digit growth in this recessionary environment. We've had our revenues grow in this recessionary environment. Our traffic is growing in this recessionary environment. So we think we're on the right track financially.
Have you reduced the debt?
Going forward.
Have you reduced the debt?
We are reducing the debt over time.
How much?
Yes, we are.
How much did you reduce the debt this year?
We reduced the debt about $200 million a year.
Out of 4.3?
That's correct.
It seems to me, sir, that perhaps drastic measures are called for?
Well, again, you know, we feel that again we're providing choices for the traveling public. They have lots of options for different airlines, low-cost airlines out of San Francisco, and we think that it serves the public very well.
How long can this go on?
The airport doesn't have any plans in issuing any further debt for infrastructure. We're done with all of our construction. But what you will be seeing is you'll be seeing the rest of the nation's airports continue to issue debt to renew their infrastructure as well.
So what we're going to be, in effect, seeing is that our children and our grandchildren are going to be paying the debt for an airport system that's clearly out of control. Thank you very much, Mr.